For thousands of years, the desire to live forever has been a central part of the human story. Ancient kings searched for magical fountains, alchemists tried to brew potions of eternal life, and stories spoke of gods and monsters who never aged. It was a dream, a fantasy, something that belonged in books and legends, not in the real world. The fundamental truth we all accepted was simple: to be born is to eventually die. Aging was not seen as a disease to be cured, but as a natural, inevitable process, like the sunset or the changing of the seasons. We fought individual illnesses, plague, smallpox, cancer, but we never truly challenged the ultimate enemy, time itself. But what if we have been looking at this all wrong? What if aging is not a natural, unstoppable force, but rather a biological process? And if it is a process, that means it has mechanisms, it has causes, and just maybe, it can be manipulated, slowed down, or even stopped. This is the revolutionary idea that is now taking root in the world of science. It is no longer the domain of mystics and science fiction writers. It is becoming a serious field of study for some of the world's brightest biologists, geneticists, and computer scientists. They are not searching for a magical fountain, they are looking at our very own cells and DNA for the answers. This shift in thinking is the most important development in the history of medicine. Instead of just treating the symptoms of aging, like heart disease, dementia, or arthritis, when they appear in our 70s or 80s, what if we could address the root cause of all these conditions? What if we could keep the body in a state of youthful health indefinitely? This is the grand goal of this new field, often called longevity science or rejuvenation biotechnology. It is not about keeping frail, 90-year-old bodies alive for another 100 years. It is about allowing a 90-year-old to have the body, mind, and vitality of a 50-year-old, or even a 30-year-old, for centuries to come. This first step is about changing our mindset, from accepting our fate to questioning the very programming of life and death. The dream is alive, and for the first time in human history, science is building the tools to make it a reality. To fix a problem, you first have to understand what is causing it. So, what exactly is aging? At its core, aging is the gradual accumulation of damage in our cells and tissues over time. Think of your body as a brand new car. When it is new, everything works perfectly. But as you drive it, parts wear down, rust accumulates, the engine becomes less efficient, and eventually, it breaks down. Our bodies are the same. For decades, we did not know what caused this wear and tear. But now, scientists have identified key hallmarks of aging, the fundamental reasons our car, our body, eventually breaks down. One of the most important discoveries is the role of our telomeres. Imagine your DNA as a shoelace, and the telomeres are the little plastic tips at the end that stop the lace from fraying. Every time a cell divides, these telomeres get a little bit shorter. When they get too short, the cell can no longer divide and becomes senescent, or it dies. This shortening is a major driver of aging. Then there are senescent cells themselves. These are zombie cells. They are damaged and should die, but instead, they stick around, releasing harmful chemicals that inflame and damage the healthy cells around them. It is like having a rotten apple in a basket, spoiling all the others. Another crucial area is epigenetics. This is the system of switches that sits on top of your DNA, telling genes when to turn on and off. As we age, this system gets corrupted, like a scratched music CD that starts to skip. It starts playing the wrong instructions, leading cells to behave in ways they should not. Finally, there is the problem of mitochondrial dysfunction. Mitochondria are the tiny power plants inside your cells, creating the energy you need to live. As they get older, they become less efficient and produce more toxic waste, like a dirty engine producing more smoke. This lack of energy and increase in cellular pollution contributes to weakness, fatigue, and disease. By understanding these specific mechanisms, telomere shortening, zombie cells, epigenetic noise, and failing mitochondria, we are no longer fighting a mysterious ghost. We have a list of tangible, fixable problems. Now that we have identified the key reasons we age, the exciting part begins: building the tools to fix them. This is not about one single miracle pill. It is about developing an entire medical toolkit, with different tools designed to repair specific types of damage. Let us look at some of the most promising technologies being developed right now. First, there is gene therapy. Remember those telomeres, the protective caps on our DNA? Companies are already testing therapies that could instruct our bodies to produce an enzyme called telomerase, which can rebuild and lengthen these telomeres, effectively making our cells act younger and divide for longer. This is like replacing the frayed tips on your shoelaces. Then, to deal with the zombie senescent cells, we have senolytics. These are a new class of drugs that act like targeted assassins, seeking out and destroying these harmful cells without touching the healthy ones. Early experiments in mice have been stunning, showing that clearing these cells can reverse conditions like osteoporosis and improve kidney function. Next, we have the power of cellular reprogramming. This technology, which won its discoverer a Nobel Prize, involves using a set of instructions, called Yamanaka factors, to reset a cell's age. It is like taking that scratched CD of your epigenetics and polishing it back to a pristine, brand new state. Scientists are learning how to apply this carefully to adult cells inside a living body, not to turn them into stem cells, but to reset their age-related epigenetic marks, making an old cell function like a young one again. Finally, advancements in artificial intelligence and big data are supercharging this research. AI can analyze millions of medical records, genetic codes, and drug interactions to find patterns no human ever could, helping us discover new longevity drugs and personalized treatments for each individual's unique biology. We are moving from a one-size-fits-all medicine to a future where your age is treated as a manageable condition. Let us pause for a moment and consider a deeper question. If we succeed in keeping the body young and healthy for hundreds of years, what happens to the person inside? Your brain, the seat of your memories and your identity, is also a biological organ. It is subject to the same aging processes. While these new therapies could prevent Alzheimer's and dementia, they introduce a fascinating dilemma. The brain has a finite storage capacity. Can it hold 200, 300, or 500 years of memories? Would we forget our earliest years to make room for new ones? Or would our sense of self become overwhelmed by the sheer weight of lived experience? This leads to a more radical idea: mind uploading. Some thinkers in this field propose that the ultimate path to immortality is not to preserve the biological body, but to transfer the contents of your consciousness, your memories, personality, and thoughts into a digital form, like a computer or a robotic body. In this scenario, you could live on in a virtual world, immune to disease and time, potentially forever. But this raises profound questions. Is that digital copy really you, or is it just a perfect replica? If the original you dies and the copy lives on, has your consciousness truly survived, or has a new entity been born? It is the ultimate puzzle of identity. And we must think bigger than just one individual. What would a society of ageless people look like? Would it be a utopia of accumulated wisdom and experience, or a dystopian nightmare where resources are hoarded by an unchanging elite? How would careers work? How would families function if generations never pass away? The social, economic, and psychological implications are staggering. Solving the biological problem of aging is only the first step. We would then have to reinvent almost every aspect of human civilization. It forces us to ask, what is the real purpose of a long life? Is it simply to exist, or is it to have the health and time to find meaning, connection, and purpose? The science is thrilling, but it is important to be realistic about where we are today. We are not going to have a pill for immortality next year. The technologies we discussed are in various stages of development. Some, like early senolytics, are already in human trials. Others, like whole-body epigenetic reprogramming, are still being perfected in labs on animals. The path from a successful mouse experiment to a safe, approved human therapy is long, expensive, and filled with setbacks. It might take decades before these treatments become widely available. And this leads to the most critical question of all: if and when these therapies arrive, who will get to use them? There is a very real danger that they could become the ultimate luxury, available only to the super-rich, creating a permanent divide between the immortal elite and the mortal rest of humanity. This is not just a scientific challenge, it is a political and ethical one. It forces us to have a global conversation about health equity on a scale we have never seen before. Is longevity a human right, or a commodity to be bought and sold? Furthermore, what would immortality mean for our planet? Earth has limited resources. An ever-growing, non-dying population would put an immense strain on food, water, and energy supplies. This makes the development of sustainable technologies, like advanced renewable energy and space colonization, not just a parallel goal, but an absolute necessity for a long-lived species. The pursuit of eternal life is forcing us to grow up as a civilization. It is pushing us to confront our deepest fears about death, our responsibilities to each other, and our role as caretakers of our world. The technology that could make us live forever is not just about adding years to our life, but more importantly, about adding life to our years, and in doing so, perhaps it will force us to finally build a world worth living in for a very, very long time.